Ryan stood in the middle of his restaurant and felt the silence press against his chest. The air smelled faintly of old soup and wet wood. Once this place had been full of laughter, music, and the soft sound of plates being placed on tables. Now it was only quiet. He could hear the ticking of the wall clock and the slow dripping of water from a pipe near the sink. The restaurant had been his dream for many years. He had opened it with all his savings, believing that if he cooked with heart, people would come. For a time they did. Families would visit after work. Children would run between tables, and regular customers would greet him with smiles. Those days had ended when the great storm hit the city 6 months ago. The market street near his restaurant had flooded, and half of his customers had moved away. The rest had lost their jobs. People stopped eating out, and soon Ryan's income fell to almost nothing. He tried everything he could. He lowered the prices, gave away free samples, and even cooked outside the door to attract attention. Still, no one came. The last few weeks had been the hardest. His refrigerator had broken, and he could not afford a repair. The electric bill remained unpaid, and the power company had already warned that they would soon cut it off. That evening, he sat outside the restaurant with a cup of cold tea. The sky was turning orange as the sun sank behind the old buildings. He watched the street, hoping that someone might walk in, but the road remained empty. He felt a mix of tiredness and sadness, yet he could not bring himself to close the door forever. Then he saw a figure walking slowly on the other side of the street. It was a man carrying a small bundle, and beside him walked a little girl holding his hand. Their clothes were dusty and they both looked exhausted. Ryan noticed the man stopping at a trash bin, searching inside for something. The little girl stood quietly, clutching his arm. Ryan's heart ached at the sight. He stood up and called out to them, "Hey there, are you all right?" The man turned, surprised that anyone was speaking to him. He hesitated for a moment, then nodded politely. "We are fine," he said in a low voice. "Just looking for food." Ryan looked at the restaurant sign above his head and then back at the pair. He knew he had very little left inside, maybe some rice and soup from yesterday, but he could not ignore them. "Come in," he said. "You both can eat something." The man hesitated again. "We don't have money," he said softly. Ryan waved his hand. "No need for money. Come inside. The night is getting cold." The man looked down at the little girl. She gave a small nod, and together they followed Ryan into the restaurant. Inside, the lights flickered weakly, casting soft shadows across the empty tables. The air was warmer than outside. Ryan walked behind the counter, lit the small stove, and began to heat the remaining soup. He found a little bread and a few vegetables, enough to make a small meal. The little girl sat quietly at one of the tables, looking around the room. She had big brown eyes and long dark hair tied with a ribbon that looked old but clean. "What is your name?" Ryan asked with a gentle smile. "Taryn," the man said. He looked tired but polite. "And this is my daughter Mila." "I am Ryan," he replied. "It is good to meet you both." When the food was ready, Ryan placed it in front of them. The smell filled the air, and for a moment the restaurant felt alive again. Taryn whispered something to Mila, and she smiled for the first time that night. They began to eat slowly, savoring each bite. As they ate, Ryan asked where they were from. Taryn said they had been traveling for many days. He spoke carefully, avoiding details. Ryan did not press for more. He could see from their faces that they had suffered enough. After they finished, Mila looked up at him and said, "Thank you, sir. This is the best food I ever had." Her voice was soft but clear, and it touched Ryan's heart. "You are welcome," he said kindly. "You can stay here tonight if you need shelter. The storeroom in the back is small, but it is warm and safe." Taryn looked surprised. "We cannot take your space. You have already helped us too much." Ryan shook his head. "It is no trouble. I have no other guests. Please stay." After a short silence, Taryn nodded. "Thank you. You are a good man, Ryan." That night, after showing them to the storeroom, Ryan returned to the front of the restaurant. He sat again by the counter, thinking about how strange life could be. A few months ago, he had been too busy to even sit down for 5 minutes. Now he had all the time in the world but no one to serve. Still, helping someone felt right. For the first time in a while, he went to sleep without feeling heavy inside. The morning came with a soft breeze through the window. Ryan woke to a sound that startled him. The refrigerator was humming. He sat up quickly, wondering if he had dreamed it. The machine that had been silent for weeks was working again. The lights above the counter were steady and bright. He checked the switchboard and saw no sign of power cut. Confused but grateful, he stepped into the kitchen. Taryn was there, wiping the counters clean. Mila was sitting on a stool, drawing on a piece of paper with a pencil. She looked peaceful and happy. "Good morning," Rian said. "Good morning," Taryn replied with a small smile. "I hope you do not mind that I cleaned a bit." "I wanted to repay your kindness," Rian smiled back. "You did not have to, but thank you. And the refrigerator, it is working again. I thought it was broken for good." Taryn looked at it calmly. "Sometimes things start working again when the place feels alive," he said. Rian laughed softly. "Maybe it just needed some hope." Mila giggled from her stool. "Or maybe it likes us," she said. Her laughter filled the room, and Ryan could not help but join her. It was the first real laugh he had in weeks. He felt lighter, as if a weight had lifted from his shoulders. Later that day, Ryan decided to cook something new just for fun. He still had some rice and vegetables. Taryn offered to help, chopping ingredients while Mila arranged the chairs neatly. When they finished cooking, the smell drifted outside onto the street. A man walking by stopped and looked inside. "Are you open?" the man asked through the door. Ryan hesitated. He had not expected customers, but he quickly nodded. "Yes, please come in." The man ordered a simple plate of rice and stew. Ryan served it with care. When the man tasted the food, his eyes widened. "This is delicious," he said. "It tastes fresh, like it was grown this morning." Ryan thanked him shyly. The man paid double and said he would bring his friends the next day. After the customer left, Ryan turned to Taryn. "I do not understand. The vegetables I used were almost old, but they tasted new when cooked. How is that possible?" Taryn smiled but said nothing. He only glanced at Mila, who was quietly drawing again. Her paper showed a small sketch of the restaurant surrounded by light. That night, Rian lay awake in his small room above the kitchen. He listened to the hum of the machines and the faint laughter of the little girl in the storeroom below. Something had changed. He could feel it in the air. The restaurant seemed warmer, the colors brighter. For the first time in months, he felt hope stirring in his heart. As he drifted toward sleep, he thought about how strange life could be. He had lost everything, yet by helping two strangers, he might have found a new beginning. He did not know who Taryn and Mila really were. He did not know what kind of energy filled the air around them. All he knew was that something good had entered his life, and it began the moment he opened his door to those who had none. Outside, the city was quiet. The streetlights flickered softly. Inside the restaurant, the refrigerator hummed with steady rhythm, as if it had a heartbeat of its own. Rian smiled in the dark, unaware that his act of kindness had already set something greater into motion, something that would soon change not only his life, but the lives of everyone around him. The sun rose slowly over the city, washing the streets in pale gold. Inside the small restaurant, the smell of fresh bread filled the air. Ryan stood near the stove, stirring a pot of soup. His hands moved with energy he had not felt in months. The refrigerator hummed softly behind him, and the lights shone bright and clear. He still could not understand how everything had started working again, but he was grateful. Taryn and Mila had woken early. Taryn was polishing the metal railing near the counter while Mila wiped each table with care. Her small hands moved quickly, and she hummed a soft tune that sounded unfamiliar but beautiful. Ryan watched them with quiet wonder. The place looked alive again, not because of money or customers, but because of warmth. "You both work like you own this place," Ryan said with a laugh. Taryn looked up and smiled. "We just want to help. You gave us shelter and food. It is only right to give something back," Rian nodded. "You do not need to. I already feel better just having company." When the soup was ready, they ate together. Mila giggled at the taste and said it reminded her of the stars. Ryan did not know what that meant, but her words made him smile. As they finished breakfast, a shadow passed across the window. Someone stood outside, peering in. Ryan went to the door and opened it. It was the same man from yesterday, the one who had promised to return. Behind him were two more people, both carrying shopping bags. "We told our friends about your food," the man said cheerfully. They wanted to try it too. Ryan was surprised but quickly welcomed them inside. He asked them to sit while he prepared their meal. Taryn moved to the kitchen without a word and began helping again. They worked side by side, chopping and cooking. The smell spread through the air, rich and warm. When the food was served, the customers ate with joy. One woman said her headache was gone after just a few bites. Another said she had not felt so relaxed in weeks. They paid generously and promised to come again. After they left, Ryan looked at Taryn with wide eyes. They said the food made them feel better. How can that happen? Taryn dried his hands and replied calmly, "When good hearts cook together, the food carries peace." Ryan thought about that for a while. "Maybe you are right," he said softly. The next day more people came. Some were curious, others just wanted a meal. Ryan found himself cooking from morning to evening. The refrigerator stayed full even though he did not buy new supplies. Somehow, whenever he opened it, the shelves were never empty. The vegetables looked fresh, the meat smelled new, and the milk was always cold. One evening, after all the customers had gone, Ryan sat at a table with Taryn and Mila. The lights were dim and the city outside was quiet. "Taryn," he said slowly, "I want to thank you. Since you came, everything has changed. But I do not understand how." Taryn looked at him for a moment. His eyes were calm but deep, as if holding secrets. "Sometimes change comes when we least expect it," he said. "You showed kindness without asking anything in return. The world remembers such things." Ryan nodded but felt that there was something more behind those words. Mila was drawing again, sketching the restaurant surrounded by shining patterns. Her drawings looked strange, filled with shapes Ryan had never seen before. "What are you drawing, Mila?" he asked. She smiled brightly. "It is your restaurant, but it looks happy now." Ryan leaned closer and noticed that the lines around the building looked like streams of light. "It is beautiful," he said. "You have a gift," Mila nodded proudly. "Papa says we see the world differently. We can feel it breathe." Ryan blinked in surprise. "Feel it breathe?" Taryn placed a gentle hand on his daughter's shoulder. "She has a strong imagination," he said quickly. "It helps her stay hopeful." Ryan let the subject drop, though curiosity stirred inside him. He could not shake the feeling that something unusual was happening around them. Over the next week, the restaurant became busier. Word spread through the city that Ryan's food could lift sadness and bring calm. People came from other streets, then from nearby towns. Some came just to sit inside, saying the air felt lighter. Ryan hired 2 old friends to help, and he paid them well. For the first time in months, he had enough money to cover his debts. One afternoon, while Ryan was cooking, a loud knock came at the door. A man in a dark coat entered, holding a notebook. "I am from the city inspection office," he said. "We heard unusual reports about this restaurant." Ryan froze for a moment. "Unusual?" "Yes," the inspector said. "People say your food heals and your machines run without power issues. We need to make sure everything is safe." Ryan tried to stay calm. "Of course you can look around." The inspector checked the refrigerator, the stove, the wires, and the power meter. Everything appeared normal. He wrote a few notes and frowned. "Strange," he said. "Your power meter shows no use for the last month, yet all your machines are working." Ryan's heart raced. He had not noticed that. "There must be a mistake," he said quickly. The inspector looked doubtful but finally closed his book. "I will report this to the office. Expect another visit soon." When he left, Ryan turned to Taryn. "How is this possible? The power company will think I am cheating them." Taryn looked calm. "Do not worry. The energy that runs this place does not come from wires. It comes from life itself." Ryan stared at him in confusion. "What do you mean?" Taryn smiled faintly. "You will understand one day. For now, just keep doing what you are doing. Serve people with heart." That night, Ryan could not sleep. He kept thinking about Taryn's words. Energy from life itself made no sense, yet he had seen proof all around him. Machines that worked without repair, food that never spoiled, and customers who left with peace in their hearts. He went downstairs quietly and found Mila awake, sitting near the window. She was looking up at the stars. "Can't sleep?" Ryan asked softly. She turned and smiled. "I like to watch the stars. They look like home." "Home?" he asked. "You mean where you lived before?" Mila nodded slowly. "Yes, but it was not here." Ryan sat beside her. "You mean another city?" She looked at him with innocent eyes. "Another sky." Before Ryan could ask more, she yawned and said, "Papa says we should rest before the bright ones come." Then she lay down on the bench and fell asleep. Ryan stared at her for a long time, unsure what she meant. The bright ones? Another sky? He wanted to believe she was just speaking like a child, but deep inside he felt a strange truth hiding behind her words. The next morning, business was busier than ever. A crowd gathered outside before sunrise. Some came from far towns, some from nearby villages. News had spread that the restaurant brought good fortune. Even sick people came hoping to feel better. Ryan worked tirelessly, cooking from morning till night. Taryn handled the kitchen with silent skill, and Mila helped serve drinks, her laughter lifting the mood of everyone who entered. One afternoon, a rich merchant arrived in a shiny car. He walked inside with 2 guards and looked around the place. "You are the famous Rian?" he asked with a proud smile. Rian nodded politely. "Yes, sir. Would you like to eat?" The merchant laughed. "I want to buy your restaurant." "Name your price," Ryan froze. "Buy it? I cannot sell this place." "It is my life," the merchant smirked. "I can make you rich. This small street cannot hold the power of your food. Come work for me, and I will build you a grand restaurant in the city center." Taryn stepped forward quietly. "The food is not about power or money. It is about heart." The merchant frowned. "I was not speaking to you." Ryan took a breath and said firmly, "Thank you, but I will not sell. This restaurant is home to me and to my friends." The merchant looked annoyed. He tossed a card on the counter and walked out with his guards. "You will regret it," he said coldly before leaving. After they were gone, Taryn looked at Ryan with respect. "You made the right choice. Some things cannot be bought," Ryan nodded. "This place gave me hope again. I will never trade that for gold." The days passed peacefully after that, but Ryan noticed something new. At night, faint light seemed to flow around Mila when she slept. It was soft like moonlight, gentle and beautiful. He did not mention it to anyone, afraid they would think he was dreaming. Yet deep inside he felt that whatever was happening was beyond human understanding. The restaurant continued to shine with success. People came from far away just to see the kind owner and the mysterious helpers who made every meal feel like comfort. None of them knew that hidden behind those kind smiles was a secret that would soon change the fate of everyone who entered that humble place. Rian only knew that life had turned again in his favor. He had shelter, laughter, and hope, and though he did not understand the strange light that seemed to fill his restaurant every night, he trusted it, for it was born from kindness. The restaurant now looked brighter than ever. The walls, once dull and cracked, seemed to glow in the sunlight. The air smelled of warm bread and sweet herbs. Every morning people lined up outside long before Ryan opened the doors. He never advertised, yet customers kept coming. Some said the food gave them strength. Others said it healed their hearts. Ryan worked from dawn until night. He did not feel tired even after hours of cooking. It was as if some invisible energy kept him moving. Taryn was always near, calm and silent, preparing dishes with careful precision. Mila ran between tables, smiling and laughing with customers. Everyone loved her cheerful spirit. One morning, a group of students came to eat breakfast. They placed their books on the table and began chatting happily. Mila brought them plates of rice and vegetables. After a few bites, one student said in surprise, "My wrist pain is gone. I heard it during sports practice, but now it feels fine." The others laughed at first, but when he moved his hand freely, they grew silent. They looked at each other with wide eyes, then turned to Mila. "What did you put in this food?" one of them asked playfully. Mila smiled. "Just kindness," she said. They laughed again, thinking she was joking, but Rian, who was watching from behind the counter, felt a strange chill. He remembered similar stories from other customers. People often said the same thing, that they felt healed after eating. That night, when the restaurant closed, Ryan sat at one of the tables with Taryn. "There is something you need to tell me," he said quietly. "Since you came here, my life has changed. My machines work without power. Food never spoils. And now people say it heals them. Who are you, Taryn?" Taryn looked down at his hands for a long moment before speaking. "You are an honest man, Ryan. You deserve the truth." Ryan waited, heart pounding. Taryn raised his eyes. "We are not from this world. Mila and I are travelers from far away. We came from beyond the stars." Ryan stared at him, unable to speak. "Beyond the stars? You mean another planet?" Taryn nodded. "Yes. We come from a place where people live in peace with nature. Our energy flows through everything, but humans found us and took interest in our energy. They captured some of us and kept us in a secret station orbiting your planet. They wanted to study how we heal and how we bring life to what is broken." Ryan's mouth went dry. "That sounds impossible." Taryn shook his head. "It is true. We escaped that station a few months ago. We landed on this planet's surface, hiding among humans. We found your restaurant when we were hungry and tired. You gave us food without question. You gave us a home. That act of kindness connected our energy to this place. That is why everything works again. Ryan felt his hands trembling. He wanted to believe it was a dream, but deep inside he knew it explained everything. So you and Mila can heal things? Taryn said softly. But it is not just healing. It is balance. Our presence brings harmony to whatever is near us. Machines, plants, animals, even people. It is the natural flow of life energy. Ryan looked toward the kitchen where the refrigerator hummed quietly. He could hardly breathe. Will anyone come looking for you? Taryn's eyes darkened. Yes, the people who captured us will not stop. They see us as tools, not beings. But we cannot go back. Mila deserves a normal life even if it is here among your kind. Ryan sat in silence for a long time. He felt both awe and fear. The idea that these gentle strangers were from another world was beyond imagination. Yet every strange event in the restaurant now made sense. Mila walked in, holding her sketchbook. Papa, are you telling him? She asked softly. Taryn smiled at her. Yes, little one. He deserves to know. Mila opened her sketchbook and showed Ryan a picture. It was the restaurant again, surrounded by beams of light stretching into the sky. Above it were small shapes that looked like stars or ships. This is what I see when I close my eyes, she said. Our light connects with this place now. Ryan stared at the drawing. It is beautiful. And strange. You both are special, Mila giggled. Papa says everyone can be special when they choose kindness. Taryn nodded. That is the truth. You saved us with kindness, and now this place saves you in return. Over the next few days, Ryan tried to act normal, but his thoughts kept circling back to what Taryn had said. He looked at Mila and saw how light seemed to follow her wherever she walked. He noticed how customers left smiling even when they came in sad. He began to realize that the energy around his restaurant was real and growing stronger. One afternoon, a local reporter visited. She had heard about the miraculous food and wanted to write an article. She took pictures, asked questions, and tasted Ryan's cooking. When the article came out, the headline read, "The Restaurant That Feeds the Heart." After that, people from other cities began arriving. They called Ryan's place a miracle. Some tried to study it. Others tried to buy it. Ryan refused to sell, no matter how much money they offered. He felt the restaurant was more than just a business now. It was a home for something greater. But fame brought attention. A few weeks later, strange people began appearing near the restaurant. They wore plain suits and carried small devices. They asked questions that made Ryan nervous. One of them, a tall man with gray eyes, spoke quietly to him one evening. We heard stories about a man named Taryn and his daughter. We think they may be of great interest to our organization. Have you seen anyone by that name? Ryan forced a smile. No, sir. Only customers. The man studied him for a moment, then nodded slowly. If you see them, contact us. It is for safety reasons. When they left, Ryan locked the door and hurried to the back room. Taryn and Mila were sitting quietly. Ryan whispered, "They are looking for you." Taryn sighed. "I feared this day would come. What will we do?" Ryan asked. "We will stay calm," Taryn said. "Fear will only draw them closer. We have lived through worse." That night, Ryan barely slept. Every noise outside made him jump. He had taken in 2 strangers out of kindness, and now he might lose everything again. Yet when he looked at Mila sleeping peacefully, he knew he could never turn them away. The next morning, the restaurant opened as usual. Customers came and went, unaware of the danger. Ryan worked harder than ever, hoping to keep his mind busy. Around noon, a group of suited men entered again. They pretended to be customers but kept watching the kitchen closely. Mila whispered to Ryan, "They have cold hearts." Ryan nodded slightly. "Stay near your father." When Taryn came out to serve a tray, one of the men stood up and grabbed his arm. "You are coming with us," the man said firmly. "You belong to the Stellar Research Division." The entire restaurant fell silent. Customers froze in shock. Ryan's heart pounded. He stepped forward. "Let him go. You are frightening my guests." The man ignored him. Taryn stayed calm. "We do not belong to anyone," he said. "We are free beings." The man reached into his coat, but before he could pull anything out, a soft light filled the room. It came from Mila. She stood in the center of the restaurant, eyes closed, hands raised slightly. The air shimmered around her like rippling water. The men staggered backward, their devices sparking uselessly. Ryan felt warmth spreading through his body. The customers gasped in wonder. The light grew brighter for a few seconds, then faded. When it was gone, the men dropped their weapons and ran out in panic. The door swung shut behind them. No one spoke for a long time. Then an old woman stood up and said, "That child is an angel." Ryan looked at Mila, who was breathing slowly but looked unharmed. He turned to Taryn, who nodded. "It is our energy. It protects life, not destroys it. They cannot use violence against it." Ryan sank into a chair, trying to take in everything that had happened. The customers slowly began to clap, cheering for Mila. Some cried, others prayed. For them, it was a miracle. That evening, after everyone left, Ryan sat with Taryn outside the restaurant. The air smelled of rain and the city lights flickered in the distance. "You cannot stay here forever," Ryan said softly. "They will return," Taryn nodded. "Yes, but until we leave, we will keep helping. We came to your world by chance, but now it feels like destiny. Maybe our purpose was to remind your kind of something they have forgotten." "What is that?" Ryan asked. "That kindness can change everything," Taryn replied. Mila came out and sat between them, resting her head on Ryan's arm. "This place feels like home," she said. Ryan smiled sadly. "It is your home as long as you need it." The rain began to fall lightly, tapping on the roof. Inside, the restaurant lights glowed softly, as if the building itself was alive. Ryan felt peace, even with danger close. For the first time, he understood that his small act of kindness had connected him to something much larger than himself. He looked at Taryn and Mila and whispered, "Maybe this is what miracles truly look like." The restaurant had changed more than Ryan could have ever imagined. The small building on the corner of the street now seemed to glow with a warm light. The walls were bright and the floor shone as if polished by unseen hands. Customers continued to come from nearby towns, bringing their friends and families. Many whispered that the food made them feel stronger, calmer, and happier. Ryan worked tirelessly, but he did not feel tired. He looked at Taryn in the kitchen, chopping vegetables and stirring sauces with calm precision. Every dish seemed to taste better than the last. Even the simplest meals brought smiles to the faces of his customers. Mila ran between tables, carrying plates and pouring drinks. She laughed freely, her energy lifting everyone's spirits. People began leaving tips far larger than the meal's cost. Some said they wanted to repay the restaurant for the joy it brought. Ryan shook his head, refusing most of it. He felt richer than ever, not because of money, but because of the happiness inside the restaurant. One morning, a group of children arrived. They were from a nearby orphanage and had never tasted food like this before. Taryn served them with care while Mila knelt beside the smallest ones, talking to them gently and making them giggle. By the end of the meal, the children were smiling, talking, and running around like they had never done before. Their caretaker shook his head in wonder. "I have never seen them this happy," he said. Ryan felt a soft glow inside the restaurant. It was as if the building itself was alive, responding to the joy around it. He had learned to accept the strange happenings quietly, knowing that Taryn and Mila brought more than ordinary help, but that peace would not last forever. One afternoon, as Ryan was washing dishes, a shadow fell across the entrance. He looked up to see 3 men in dark suits standing outside. Their faces were serious, their eyes cold. They carried small devices and walked inside as if they owned the place. "Good afternoon," one said in a calm voice. "We are looking for Taryn and his daughter. They have been reported missing from a research station orbiting this planet." Ryan felt his heart race. He quickly stepped forward. "I do not know what you mean. No one like that is here." The men ignored him. They began checking the restaurant, scanning shelves and machines with small lights that beeped softly. Customers whispered nervously among themselves, unsure of what was happening. Taryn appeared from the kitchen, calm as ever. "Who are you?" he asked quietly. "We are here to take you back," one man said firmly. "You are required for study and protection." Taryn shook his head. "We do not belong to anyone. We choose our own path," the man frowned. "We have authority. You must come with us now." Mila stepped forward, her small hands raised slightly. A soft glow began to surround her, faint at first, then growing brighter. The air around the room shimmered, warm and comforting, yet strong. Customers gasped, stepping back in surprise. Rian felt the energy fill his body. He could hear the faint hum of it, like music from another world. Machines stopped working erratically. Devices in the hands of the men froze and their movements became slow and awkward. The light from Mila spread through the restaurant, filling every corner with warmth and calm. The tallest of the men tried to push forward, but he stumbled and fell. Sparks flew from the device in his hand, making him drop it immediately. The other two looked at each other, unsure what to do. Then, as if guided by invisible hands, they ran toward the door and left without a word. The customers stood frozen for a moment, then slowly applauded. Some laughed nervously. Others whispered prayers or praises. Ryan rushed to Mila and hugged her gently. "Are you okay?" he asked. She nodded, blinking in surprise at her own power. "I did not mean to frighten them," she said softly. Taryn came beside them. "It is not your fault. This energy is for protection. They cannot harm us while it flows through this place." Rian looked around the restaurant. The lights glowed softly. The air smelled fresh and the walls seemed to breathe. For the first time he realized that this place was no longer just a restaurant. It had become a sanctuary, a beacon of hope and kindness. Days passed and the event was soon forgotten by the public. But for Ryan, Taryn, and Mila, it marked a turning point. People continued to come, feeling the warmth and comfort of the restaurant. News reporters wrote articles praising the miraculous meals and the happy atmosphere. Some began calling it the Lighthouse, a name that stuck immediately. Ryan continued to refuse offers to buy the restaurant. Wealth meant nothing compared to the joy of seeing Taryn and Mila live safely, and the energy of the restaurant grow stronger every day. One morning, a young girl came with her mother. She was sick and weak, barely able to stand. Ryan prepared a plate of rice, vegetables, and a small soup. Taryn guided him and Mila held the girl's hand as she ate. Within moments, the girl's eyes brightened. Her skin seemed healthier and she smiled for the first time in days. Her mother was in tears. "Thank you," she said. "I have never seen anything like this." "You saved her." Ryan smiled humbly. "It is not me. This place is alive because of kindness and care." Taryn nodded. Energy flows where it is welcomed. Those who eat here carry hope with them. The story of the miraculous restaurant spread to other cities. People traveled for hours just to see it. Ryan hired a few more helpers, but the energy in the place made everything easier. The kitchen ran smoothly, and even when supplies ran low, the refrigerator always had what was needed. But Rian knew danger was still near. The men who had come before would not forget, and he wondered when they would return. One evening, while the restaurant was closing, Taryn spoke quietly to Ryan. "The time will come when we must leave. We cannot stay forever. They will search again, and it may be difficult to protect the people here." Ryan felt a pang of sadness. "Leave, but we have built so much together. People need you." Taryn placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "We have taught the place to carry energy even when we are gone. You have learned the truth about kindness. That is the most important lesson." Mila walked over and held Ryan's hand. "We will always be with you in spirit," she said softly. That night, Ryan sat by the window, staring at the city lights. He felt peace, but also the weight of what was to come. The restaurant had become more than a building. It was a symbol of hope. Every smile, every healed person, every warm meal carried the energy Taryn and Mila shared. Outside, the rain began to fall softly. It tapped gently on the roof, creating a quiet rhythm. Ryan listened and realized that even when storms came, there was light inside this place. He felt gratitude for the strangers who had become his family. The next morning, life went on as usual. Customers arrived early. Children ran through the tables laughing, and the smell of fresh bread filled the air. Everything seemed normal, yet Ryan noticed the small signs of the energy around them. Plants in the corner growing faster, the stove working perfectly without repair, and a soft light that glowed faintly around Mila when she moved. One afternoon, as Ryan prepared lunch, a businessman walked in. He wore a fancy suit and carried a briefcase. "I hear your restaurant is remarkable," he said. "I want to invest and expand it across the city." Ryan shook his head firmly. "This place is not for sale. Its value is not money. It is kindness, and it belongs here." The man frowned but left without another word. Taryn watched silently, a small smile on his face. "You have learned well, Ryan." Some things cannot be bought. That evening, after closing, Ryan looked at Taryn and Mila. "How did we get so lucky?" he asked. Taryn smiled. "Luck is the world noticing goodness. You gave it a home." Mila yawned, stretching her small arms. "I like it here," she whispered. Ryan hugged her gently. "We all do," he said. Outside, the city was quiet again. The lights of the restaurant glowed like a small sun in the night. Ryan realized that no matter what challenges came, the energy inside this place would protect it. He did not yet know when Taryn and Mila would leave, but he knew that their lessons, their energy, and their kindness would remain forever. The restaurant glowed warmly under the early morning sun. The streets outside were quiet, but inside life had already begun. Ryan moved quickly through the kitchen, stirring soup and chopping vegetables. Customers had started to arrive earlier each day, and the lines were already forming before he opened the doors. Taryn and Mila worked alongside him, calm and focused. Taryn handled the heavier tasks in the kitchen, moving with precise efficiency. Mila carried plates and filled cups with a soft smile that lifted the spirits of everyone around her. The little girl seemed smaller than ever, yet her energy filled the room with light. Ryan paused for a moment, looking at both of them. He knew that soon their time together would end. He could feel it in the air, a quiet sense of anticipation, yet he refused to dwell on sadness. Today was about living and helping others as they had always done. The first customer arrived, a woman with tired eyes and worn clothes. She smiled weakly as Ryan guided her to a table. Taryn served her food gently while Mila placed a warm cloth around her shoulders. As she ate, her expression changed. Her eyes brightened, her body relaxed, and by the time she finished, she sat up straighter, smiling for the first time in days. Ryan felt the familiar warmth in his chest. Every act of kindness brought more energy to the restaurant. This place was alive, not because of machines or money, but because of love and care. By midday, the restaurant was full. Families laughed together. Children ran between tables, and strangers became friends. People whispered about the mysterious duo helping Ryan. No one could explain the calm, comforting energy in the air, but everyone felt it. Then Taryn called Ryan aside. "It is time," he said softly. Ryan's heart sank. "Time for what?" he asked quietly. "For us to leave," Taryn said. "Our people have found a safe world for us. We cannot remain here forever. The men searching for us will continue if we stay. It is better to leave now while we are safe." Ryan swallowed hard. "But the restaurant, the people, everything we built together, what will happen?" Taryn smiled gently. "You have already learned the lesson. This restaurant will continue. The energy we brought will remain as long as kindness flows here. You must protect it and share it with others." Mila walked over and took Ryan's hand. "I will miss you," she whispered. Ryan knelt down and hugged her. "I will miss you too. You have changed my life." The day went on with its usual joy, but Ryan noticed a quiet tension in the air. He knew the moment of departure was coming. In the evening, after the last customer left, Taryn and Mila stood at the door ready to leave. Before stepping outside, Taryn placed his hand on Ryan's shoulder. "Remember, Ryan," he said, "the power of kindness is greater than anything you can imagine. Protect this place and always serve others without expecting anything in return." Mila pressed a small crystal into Ryan's hand. "For you," she said. "It will keep the restaurant alive even when we are gone." Ryan held the crystal tightly, feeling warmth radiate from it. The small gem glowed softly, filling his hand with light. He understood now that this gift was more than protection. It was a reminder of what he had learned. As they stepped outside, a soft glow surrounded them. The night air shimmered faintly, and the stars above seemed brighter than usual. Ryan watched silently as they walked down the street. Even in the distance, their energy was visible, a warm light that connected them to the restaurant. Once they were gone, Ryan returned inside, holding the crystal. He placed it on the counter, and immediately, the lights in the restaurant glowed brighter. The machines hummed softly, and the air felt alive. It was as if Taryn and Mila's presence remained, invisible but powerful. Over the next few weeks, life in the restaurant continued. Ryan continued to cook with heart, serving each customer with care. The energy from the crystal seemed to make the food taste fresher, the air feel lighter, and the people happier. Those who visited left with smiles and hope. Word spread quickly, and soon people came from other cities and towns. They said the restaurant healed not only the body but also the heart. One afternoon, Ryan noticed a young boy sitting alone in a corner. He looked scared and sad. Ryan brought him a warm plate of rice and vegetables. As the boy ate, he relaxed and began to smile. His mother, who had been watching nervously, whispered her thanks. Ryan realized that the true purpose of the restaurant was not fame or money, but bringing comfort and hope to those in need. Months passed. The restaurant became a symbol of light and kindness. People spoke of it with reverence. Some even said it was miraculous. Ryan had enough income to pay his debts, hire helpers, and keep the restaurant running smoothly. But he never forgot the lessons he had learned from Taryn and Mila. One evening, as Ryan cleaned the kitchen, he noticed something unusual. The crystal on the counter glowed brighter than ever. He picked it up and a soft voice seemed to fill the room. "Ryan," it whispered, "you have kept kindness alive. Your work inspires others. Continue and this light will never fade." Ryan smiled, feeling a deep sense of peace. He understood that even though Taryn and Mila had left, their message remained. Every act of kindness, every meal served, every smile given to a stranger, continued the energy they had brought into his life. From that day forward, Ryan lived with purpose. He did not worry about wealth, fame, or recognition. Instead, he focused on helping others, serving meals with care, and making the restaurant a sanctuary for anyone who needed comfort. People continued to come, drawn by the warmth of the place. Some were curious, some were desperate, and some were simply seeking a quiet moment, all left with hearts lighter and spirits lifted. Ryan realized that the restaurant had become more than a business. It was a living reminder of the power of kindness. Years later, reporters visited Ryan to ask how he had transformed his life and rebuilt the restaurant. They expected stories of hard work and clever ideas. Ryan smiled and said simply, "I let kindness take a seat at my table." The reporters were puzzled, but those who had visited the restaurant understood. It was not just words, it was a way of life. The kindness Ryan had shown to Taryn and Mila had returned to him multiplied, filling the restaurant, the town, and the hearts of all who came through its doors. Ryan often thought of Taryn and Mila. He remembered their quiet strength, their gentle guidance, and the light they had brought into his life. Though they were gone, their lessons lived on. The crystal still glowed softly in the kitchen, a symbol of hope, energy, and the extraordinary power of simple acts of kindness. Even on the darkest nights, when the city was cold and empty, Ryan felt the warmth of their presence. It reminded him that humans could achieve greatness through compassion and care. His restaurant became a beacon of light in the community, proof that one small act of generosity could change countless lives. As Ryan closed the doors each night, he would look at the glowing crystal and whisper, "Thank you." The restaurant had survived storms, danger, and doubt. It had become a place where hope lived, where people healed, and where kindness ruled. And Ryan knew deep in his heart that nothing could ever take that away. The city changed around him, but the light inside the restaurant never faded. People came, people left, and new stories began each day, but the message remained the same. Kindness has power beyond measure, and even the smallest gesture can change the world. Ryan continued to cook, to serve, and to care. And through it all, he understood the truth Taryn and Mila had shared with him long ago. The power of life is in kindness. The restaurant shone with light, hope, and love, and the world, touched by its warmth, was better for it.